Hochbau 2 begrüße ich Sie sehr herzlich zur Lecture von Tezuka. Die heutige Veranstaltung und bis zum Sommerende ist noch 2 bis 3 weitere sein, basiert auf einer Kooperation mit der Audi Foundation. Ich begrüße ich sehr herzlich den Roland Wagner als Gründer dieser Foundation. Sie widmet sich dem Austausch zwischen der japanischen und westlichen Kulturen und versucht jetzt in Reiding, im Burgenland, diesem Austausch einen konkreten Ort zu geben und mit japanischen Architekten einige Projekte zu realisieren. Die Abteilung Hochbau 2 beschäftigt sich im Rahmen einer Lehrveranstaltung, sie heißt Evaluierung Meilensteine, mit der europäischen und außereuropäischen Nachkriegsarchitektur, Nachkriegsmoderne im Zeitfenster so etwa zwischen 55 und 75. Dabei kommt Tezuka natürlich eine wesentliche Rolle zu und wir haben seine wichtigsten Bauten im Rahmen einer 14-tägigen Studienreise nach Japan, die wir im Herbst des Vorjahres unternommen haben, besichtigen können. Ich vermute, dass der Schock über die Verwüstung, die der Abwurf der Atombombe über Hiroshima ausgelöst hatte, verantwortlich dafür war, dass ab diesem Zeitpunkt, anders als bisher, vor allem bei öffentlichen Bauten, massive und oft überdimensionierte Stahlbetonkonstruktionen zum Einsatz kamen. Dieser Schock scheint erst in der 3. Generation nach Tezuka überwunden zu sein. Seit den 90er Jahren des vorigen Jahrhunderts ist zu bemerken, dass sich japanische Architekten nicht nur mehr theoretisch mit der jahrhundertealten japanischen Architekturtradition beschäftigen, sondern versuchen, deren Prinzipien, es sind Prinzipien, die wir heute als Musterbeispiele für nachhaltiges Bauen und Handeln erkennen, in die Gegenwart zu transformieren. Erinnert die Zukunft, Nostalgic Future, der Titel der heutigen Lecture weist deutlich auf diesen Bezug hin. Tezuka Architects sind mit ihrem Fuji-Kindergarten international bekannt geworden und gehören zur jüngsten Generation japanischer Büros. Wir haben uns diesen Kindergarten eben auch angeschaut und wollten die reale Anschauung mit dem kolportierten Bild abgleichen und ich muss sagen, dieser Bau ist wirklich äußerst gelungen in seiner Einfachheit, in seiner Klarheit, in seiner Reduktion. Es ist immerhin ein Bau für über 600 Kinder, das wir werden sicher das dann genauer von Herrn Tezuka reden. Tezuka betreibt gemeinsam mit seiner Frau Yui das Büro in Tokio. Er ist Professor an der Tokyo University, unterrichtet als Gastprofessor in Berkeley in Kalifornien und auch an der Sommerakademie in Salzburg 2005 und 2006 mit den zahlreichen internationalen Publikationen über den Fuji-Kindergarten und ihre Ausstellung im Deutschen Architekturmuseum im Jahr 2009 haben sie den Sprung nach Europa geschafft. Und nun bitte ich Tezuka zu Vortrag.
I have to install my mic. I have 2 mics. One is for TV. So just give me some time. It's not mine. Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Take this off. Another one.
Too many mics. thank you very much for your invitation. It's my honor to make my lecture in this kind of space. And I hope, I wish my wife was with me today, just because of the school issue of my daughter. I couldn't bring my whole family. And I'm usually in blue. Many people might know. And the people may think, people think I'm wearing the same t-shirts all the time. But it's not true. It's all wash screen, because I have more than 100 like this. And I bought 30 of this in Tokyo. And I have more than 200 socks like this. And iPhone. And my wife is in red. So it's a very simple combination. And since we got married, we decided to make that color prominent, and we decided to make everything we share into yellow. That's the reason why our daughter became yellow. And then eventually we got our son. And we were supposed to make our son into yellow, but my daughter didn't like to lose her color. So she started giving him green. So we got 4 primary colors, like color printer, ink. Okay, I started the conversation from our family. That must be quite unusual. But yet that is very important for us. Excuse me. These days, architects want to design architecture for special occasions. Yes, of course, I want to design architecture. I want to design museum or very special place. But I have another interest. I didn't want to design architecture for daily life. Tokyo is really ugly city. And I used to live in London. And when I went back to Tokyo, I got surprised. How come we could live in such a kind of ugly city? Many people say, okay, Tokyo was destroyed by the bomb in the World War II. But it's not true, because more than 60% of Tokyo remains as it was. And the Kyoto has never been bombed. So it was 1% perfect after World War II. But still, we have really open, ugly city. Then we are thinking, how we lost beautiful city. And people think, Japanese culture is a temporariness. People tend to destroy architecture as a part of culture. And there's Ise Shrine called Ise Shrine, and the people destroy architecture every 4 years, and then they build new one. And still our spirits remain. But I don't believe so, because my grandfather's house is more than 100 years old. And then I was thinking, how we lost the beautiful architecture, beautiful city. And then realized, maybe we lost fondness to the architecture in Japan. Fondness means love, People doesn't want to spend time or money for the architecture because they don't love the architecture anymore. Then we try to find a way how we can make people love our architecture. Architecture can live without human being. Architecture is not object. Architecture is really about life. When I went to Istanbul, I went to Hagia Sophia, in Hagia Sophia, and I found the architecture is very sad. And then I went to Blue Mosque. It was so lively. As a history of architecture, Hagia Sophia was supposed to be much more higher ranking. But I like rooms more because it's lively. So now I'm coming to the most important topic, saying, what is architecture? Or as I said, okay, architecture is not a thing, but the event. The things going on in architecture is the main topic. Now, I'm going to the slide, I think. It might be some. Yeah, here you go. By the way, this is my wife, my boss. And this is the roof house. And this is the smallest, the cheapest project we have ever designed. Yet this became the turning point for us. This project is the most important project we have ever done. The client used to live in this house. Very standard house built after World War II. And whenever we talk to the client for the first time, I try to understand their lifestyle, not the request. And I kept asking, and where do you go on the weekend, and what do you eat? We try to understand it like a psychologist or counselor. Then they started saying, we love to have lunch on top of the roof. And they took us to the top of the roof, through this window, throwing out, saying, this is where we have lunch. I said, it's very strange. That they said, there's a proof. And it's looking quite dangerous. Those tiles are falling off, there's no handrail. I said, well, no, you've got to be very careful. And the parents said, don't worry, whenever they get out, we go out together. So this family always coming out to this small rooftop. So I found it's very serious request. So we made this sketch. It's a very simple sketch. And this is very hard sketch, but this architecture was built as we have drawn at the beginning. And this project is located on the edge of the residential area where you're looking down the beautiful valley. And the rooftop is inclined. And this inclination is very important. When I talk to my university students, always say, if you're having first date with a boyfriend or your girlfriend, don't go to McDonald's. I hope there's no place for people from McDonald's. Because if you're in McDonald's, you're going to sit in front of a small table and you are sitting with girlfriend or boyfriend face to face, very close distance. And at the beginning, it works for 30 minutes maybe. But the problem is this, in the first date, you don't have much thing to talk about. And 30 minutes later, silence comes. It's really awkward. And then you start saying wrong things. That is the mistake start. Then, always I tell my students, if you want to go to first date, you should go to Hammer River. There are nice sloping side along the edge of the river where you find many couples. And you find many couples on sloping side. Slope works extremely well for the first date. If you are sitting side by side, you can't sit sideways because you are lower down. So you have to look down. Then you don't need to look at each other. Then silence is not awkward anymore. It's romantic. And then you may say, okay, there's a splash on the water. And and then what your girlfriend or boyfriend said, yeah, it is quite nice. That stupid thing never works in McDonald's. And traditionally, it's easier to go on to the next stage. Yes, but that is not a discussion we should talk about in this university. But my point is, just slight inclination changes the habit, just the movement of people. And in this solo study about the square and piazza, we found that most of the popular squares are inclined, like the piazza in front of Pompeo Center, or the one in Melbourne or Siena. And the flat square, like Trafalgar Square in London, or just the square in front of Beijing, there may be many people, but they are just tourists. They are just walking by. They don't stay there. So inclination, we found inclination is very important. So we tried to get the perfect inclination. And on this scheme, we found 1 by 10 is the best inclination. And then we tried to put the skylight. Because, if you have a door to get out onto the top of a roof, it's not fun anymore. Because they used to crawl out through this small window. And that made them feel good. Because when you do something you were not supposed to do, you feel good. So we put ladder underneath of this window where they can crawl. And then younger sister said, this is my skylight. And elder said, this is my skylight. And the father said, the one in bedroom is mine. And the mother said, the one in kitchen is mine. So eventually, and then we started having a family skylight. And we ended up having 8 skylights, many skylights. And you can put lean ladder wherever you want to. And then they said, yeah, we want some privacy because there are 2 houses very close by. There is such a strange family who wants privacy on top of the roof. But they were serious, so we put roof, we put the wall, and then the mother said, okay, my mother, the grandmother, is living about 80 meters away this way, and she opens the rain screen when she wakes up, and the mother of this house said, the wife said, I want to make sure if my grandmother is alive in the morning. So I'm going to cut a corner. And they said, well, we want to have lunch, so we have to have a table and a bench. They said, winter is very cold, so we have to have a stove. Then they said, summer is very hot, we have to have a shower. So we started having many things. Then we try to work out a structure. And there are many universities throughout the world try to copy this section. I try to make students, first-year students, to copy this section. But this is not typical structural section. Because the beam here is only 105 by 105, this size, and exactly the same size as the columns. One reason is we try to make it very economical. Second reason was we try to make it extremely thin, because we wanted to have 2 layers on the both sides of this thin paper. So when you pop out your head through the thin paper, you experience different world. So we applied the plywood on both sides on the grid structure. I'll show you this later. And then the husband said, we want to have a barbecue on top of the roof. I said, no, don't do that because it's a wooden deck on top. You are going to burn your house. And he said, okay, we're going to have a barbecue in the garden. But we have to make sure we can pass barbecue to the top of the roof. And this is very low. So this is only 1.9 meters. it may not be enough in Austria, but it's enough for Japanese. Very simple plan, and now we have 9 rails. While this drawing was of 3 rails, and this one's the same. And then now just we can install all these windows one side, so we can get 100% opening. But apart from that, everything is same. Root plan, and maybe you can see that you notice that we always draw people in the plan and also section. You can see they're having lunch. They start with the kitchen, and this is elder sister, and she is very good soccer player. She used to be She used to be a captain. She used to be the captain in junior high school, and she tried to get in the Olympic team, but she couldn't get in because our Japanese women team couldn't get into the level. So, but still she was really good. So, but she said, it's nice to practice the soccer on top of the roof. Because if you kick the ball, it comes back automatically. And this is structure, grid with ply on both sides, non-directional stuff. This is my wife. Okay. Then we got this house. I don't know if we published this house. And then the Shinkenchi, Japanese architecture magazine, Japan Architect, put the picture of this project on the front cover. Then many later came. This must be illegal. There is no handrail. And but actually, we had a drawing with handrail on top. Then client said, "What's the reason why we have to have handrail?" Actually, the client is also registered architect, and also he is government side to provide houses. And he said, this house didn't have handrail on top. And also he was taking along, no house around here has handrail on top. In the Bari, we don't see any handrail. What reason why we have to have handrail? So we submitted the planning application drawing to the government to get permission. We didn't have any problem. And then this project got all kinds of prizes. And then this became famous. And now younger generation tried to make a roof house without handrail. Then they go to government saying, can I get permission? Always government said, no. And then always younger architect has a picture of this project. This is a very famous project. Even government gave them a prize. And then government side said, I have the picture too. That's the reason why I can't let you do this anymore. I like that. So this is the first project, first roof house project without handrail. It's going to be last. Nobody can do that anymore. Looking down the barrel. The building code exists for 2 reasons. First of all, we have to protect the user. Secondly, we have to protect the city. And then the owner is extremely happy about this house. And the sister even jumped off from the edge of the roof. It was extremely wrong. And there's a gentleman who loved beer. And on the weekend, he said, do you want to have a beer? And if you grab the beer, you have to be careful because the old man comes along with the beer, started having beer. So the neighbor loved this rooftop. And in front of this house, there's a passage where nobody was walking by. But since this house was built, always in the morning there were people making jogging and taking dogs around because they know that the family is having breakfast every morning here. It became a kind of community center. And you know that always construction starts from the roof. But once you build a roof, you can build things underneath without thinking about rain. Then, before they finished the construction, owners started using the rooftop. And then one day we were having a meeting on the rooftop with a client. The client said, okay, let's order pizza. Yeah? And they use mobile phone to get the pizza from Pizza Hut. And the motorbike came down here, and the guy came, and how can we get up there? And actually there's a ladder on the back of this wall. So we leaned the ladder here, and he came up. First thing he said was, where should I take off my shoes? And then they the family member really loved it, so they kept doing the same thing. And then eventually they found out the guy who used to come to the house all the time didn't come, and always they had different person. So they made question. Now what happened that boy who used to come to this house all the time? They said, no, he's fine. Just this house became famous, so everybody wanted to see. So this house became the most famous house in the Pizza Hut in this region. Okay, this is a picture published on Japan Market. Okay, then next issue of the publication, critique wrote that rooftop should be very hot in summer, very cold in winter. I don't think rooftop is in use. Maybe this is a fiction made up by architect. Then, for the first time in the 90 years history of Japan architect, client wrote back to the critique saying, we are having lunch, and we are having breakfast every morning. And when we got the prize, the critique came and he apologized to the client. And the client made a very good comment. Rooftops should be very hot in summer. So you should come out to the rooftop before sunrise or after sundown. In the winter, rooftops should be very cold. So you should go to the rooftop after lunchtime. It should be warm enough. These days we are trying to bring the environment as we can appreciate. But we used to be able to move ourselves to find the environment. It's really basic Japanese thinking. He reminded that idea to the audience. It became a very famous sentence among Japanese architects. And this is the worst kitchen we have ever seen. Because this is a present from the carpenter. We didn't have any budget. And the carpenter picked this up from the backyard. So he put it on. But they use it quite a lot. But we failed to persuade gas company to put the gas on top of the rooftop. Gas company said, no, we can't have kitchen on the roof. So we had to use the electric outlet so we can put the heat induction IH system in the shower. Now we are not sure if they will use it. And one day we got a call from client saying it was quite nice to take cold shower, and warm shower in the cold typhoon. We have typhoon. And I told them, you have to be very careful. And the wife said, "Don't worry, I'm wearing t-shirts." I don't think she understood what what kind of clothes I would have. But at least we could know that they were quite serious. Underneath, it's a very simple space. By the way, they spent all the money to the rooftop, so they couldn't buy the flooring, and so they're calling this is sofa. And also, maybe you find there is no curtain or or showed paper screen, and they said they don't want it. At the beginning, they didn't even have these line the tree on the edge of the property. They were dreaming about American life, but it's wrong because the American house you have almost 80 or 100 meters in front of the house. They have only 10 meters. It's very close by, but they insisted the house should be open to the public. They are quite unusual. And then once they called me, excuse me, I think we have to do something. In the morning, there are neighbors standing along this property looking inside. And actually that day was cold, so the window was closed, so the neighbor was watching the reflection. And on Sunday, next day, the family member found out neighbors were standing on the middle of the garden looking into the house. So they asked the neighbors, what are you doing there? And the neighbor said, when do you open this community house? So neighbors thought that this kind of public facility. So they decided to put some trees around. Inside is very simple. One skylight has one brother, one skylight has owner, and one function has one light bulb hanging. So it's a one-by-one relationship all the time. And they call this privacy. But I asked them, there's a bathroom on this side, shower on this side, and your bedroom is inside. And how do you get the bedroom after you take your shower? And they said, don't worry, we are fast runner. We run first. And the bathroom, after you take warm bath, hot bath, you take ladder to get the courier, kitchen with skylight, and the kids are going up and down, and the kid pops up, looking like, do you know the game called, in Japan called the field rabbit? Many holes on the table. The rabbit comes out and you get hammered to hit the head. Really looking like that. And also, I can tell it's very important to have close relationship between the rooftop and the underneath. The dark blue sitting on the edge, you see the socks. Okay. This is lighting scheme, and we usually work with lighting designer. His name is Masahiro Kakudate, and he made a very interesting comment. And until he comes, we are not sure about this lighting scheme. But he said, "No, do you know what's the most beautiful lighting in the world? That's the night view of the city." Not illumination. Once you see the light, yellow light in the city, maybe that represents Indian lady making curry for the grandchildren. Maybe there's another white light moving fast, representing a kind of couple in a car. So, he's saying, the night cube is a kind of representation of the life. And when you see life, you feel that's beautiful. So he started saying, okay, why don't you put naked light bulb wherever you want to? That is the most beautiful thing, because it represents the lifestyle. And also you can put light bulb wherever you want to, because in the daytime, it's almost invisible. So this became a part of our style. And this is a night view. One skylight has one lantern. And this house gave us two very important concepts. First of all, we didn't need to explain the concept. Artists try to explain the concept these days. No, it's not possible, because you can't stand like next to the architecture anymore all the time, and also you have to you can't live longer than architecture. Architecture tends to live longer than human being. So, and then when we published this house in Architecture Review, editor wrote the article saying, up on the roof. And then this architect came up with this strange idea. Because Tokyo is lack of space, these people are living on top of the roof. And actually, they never visited roof house. But they made up a story. And we liked it. And then we got a call from London saying, how many roof houses in Tokyo? I said, yeah, there are many. I lied. But they didn't believe it. And thing is, I didn't need to explain the concept, but people understand it. And secondly, the project made me believe architecture can change people, means society. The wife of this house got a degree of psychology after we built the house, and she started becoming a counselor in junior high school. And she found out counseling in concrete building is not working well. So she started bringing children to the rooftop. Then she had a really big, tall junior high school student looking like a Clint Eastwood. And she brought the Clint Eastwood to the top of the roof. And then he started becoming normal child. And he said, yes, I would be nice man, nice person if I was grown up on top of this roof. It's true story. And he went to good university. And then now just, 10 years after this house was built, these students started forming foundation, roof house foundation, helping next generation. And also they want to keep this house forever, because this is where their life started again. So it was very interesting. Then next project came. I think I spent too much time on the first project. This is a kindergarten, and they said they want to have a roof house for 600 children. And we liked that building because principal kept walking into each classroom, and whenever he walks in, we could hear yelling. It was really interesting. And so I told him, you should keep the building. And he said, no, it doesn't stand against the next earthquake. So we try to keep this feeling. And there are big trees, and each tree is almost close to 30 meters tall. So we kept the tree, and also we try to keep the external corridor. There used to be several buildings along each of the three sides. And the principal kept walking down one side and then doing back and forth. And then we thought, maybe if we make the circulation to be circle, maybe he doesn't know where he should end. So we can make him walking around all day long. So we made the circle. I think it's successful. And also we have 2 children. And we know that they love to keep making circles. And if you bring them, they keep making circles like this. It's a kind of memory built in the cortex deep in the brain. And if you're a puppy try to eat its own tail, exactly the same. So he made it circle, as oval, but it's much bigger scale, almost close to 200 meters. And also we kept the tree, but it's not easy because we couldn't cut the root. So we made sure we don't cut any root. So building is floating above the root. So this is what we got. And again, I have to tell another story. The client said, I don't want any handrail. I said, it's impossible, this is kindergarten. They said, how about having a net sticking out from the edge of the roof so we can have the falling of children? Actually, the poster the sketch you used for the poster outside got something net sticking out. That's the representation of it. But we couldn't keep that idea. But the government side, okay, you can keep the idea around the tree. And we put the handrail on. Now we can't do it anymore, but at that time it was okay. But this handrail has nothing to do with it. They try to fall into the net more and more. Sometimes they get more than 40 kids around the tree. And this boy loved this tree. He eats the tree. And now, at the time of the event, we can see many kids sitting on the edge, looking like a zoo. This is feeding time. Actually, it's agricultural class. And the roof is very low. This is already 2.1. The reason why we try to make it low as possible is that from another side of the ring, you can see everything going on underneath of the roof and the things above the roof. And also rooftop is inclined. It's not the flat surface. So you can see things. By the way, and showing. When we built this building, we couldn't put green on because it was winter. And we had a mound like this to make the stair shorter because we didn't want to see kids breaking their neck. And then we had a problem because kids knows where they find soft mat. So they started making mud hole. The old mat disappeared by 600 kids in a month. Now it's covered with green, it's okay. It's a gargoyle and about the weather, class about weather. And this is a leg washing place. We try to make the water duct like a glass. There is a green growing from the ground, and we made many kinds. This is the one to spray the water to your friends. And actually, this boy is not washing his boots; he's putting water into the boots. Now I am going to a very important slide. This building has no boundary between the classrooms. They use just furniture. And they don't see the boundary, even outside, inside. And this building was selected as the best school building in the world recently. And the countries around the world, selected the best school buildings. There's 2 or 3 best school buildings in each country, and 166 buildings were submitted to the main center of OECD and UNESCO, and they selected this is the best. And there are many reasons they selected this. And first of all, this building is quite famous. Eradicated all humiliation or outcast. Outcast is very traditional, classic program in any school in the world. But principal said, when you put boundary around human being, always human being try to make hierarchy, and then the lowest caste get outcasted. And then when you lose boundary, there is no reason to do that. And you can see the example in a prison. And in this school, in this kindergarten, if this boy doesn't like this class, he's allowed to go to next class. So it's very free environment. And secondly, principal said it's very important to have noise from next class, because even in the bar, noisy bar, you can talk to your friends, because we are capable of selecting information out from the noise. That is very important skill you need to develop when you are small. But these days, government is asking to make sound insulated buildings. Then kids are studying in very quiet environment. That is unusual. He said noise is very important. And so it's very free environment. And then you can see that this architecture is not looking high tech. But if you go there, you feel very unusual, because there are very small amount of columns. Because column size only 150. But we have sometimes 4,000 people on top of at the time rock concert. We did all kind of dynamical system to analyze movement and long distance column, and then we calculated all the vibration. That is how we made this column to be so thin and in very delicate detail. And also this sash runs on the wobbling rail, just like a train, and also absorbing movement of the roof. So it's very high tech, but we don't see that. Now we are coming to the point. This is what an iPhone, and this is very important. I'm talking about. In the 20th century, we had to adjust ourselves to the technology. You know the movie called The Modern Times? We were working for the machine, and eventually computer took that position over. And in the movie called Tron, the movie called Tron, not the latest one, the old one in the 1980s, people get sucked into the computer and they become yellow or green or orange fluorescent light color, looking like a line data. So in the movie, computer is a representation of the future, not a human being. But if you look at a movie called Matrix, that is 21st century, the things going on inside of the computer is much more real than real world. And this iPhone, my daughter makes a drawing on it, and she imports a picture. But when she started doing this, she was still 6 years old. Now she can do many things. Within 2 years, then she put her drawings on the folder. She can send the drawings to me. And I have a 5 years old son. He started making drawing on it. This thing, beaten up Sony, Sony mobile phone. But Sony kept saying Sony mobile phone is much faster and it got so many functions. But they didn't understand how they lost the battle. It's quite obvious because this is more human. Apple doesn't have any patent on this technology. It's Korean technology. And then saying this, you slide the switch. Actually, you are not sliding anything. This is the electrical signal you are using. But you feel it. You feel this as it is human. Now we have cloud computer. You can do many things. So now these days, these things exist like air. So you don't need to feel what's inside. There is no instruction required for this. Just like the Matrix. Same people in the Matrix doesn't know they're in Matrix, but still they are back there. In the 21st century, maybe we can get more human life as we have never had, because we have backed up by technology. That's what we are saying. That is nostalgic future. And this is how they divide the classroom. They were supposed to help the teacher. They don't. It's not amusement. And this is how they divide the classrooms. This is this wash basin. Because these days kids are talking to Nintendo or Game Boy. We are forcing them to talk to each other. This wash basin is good for Christmas. And we have tree inside of the classroom. This girl is fishing this boy. Okay? And there are many skylights. And they can put the ladder underneath the skylight. And at the time of Christmas, Santa Claus comes down with a present. But once they had a problem, because there's an American base very close by, they tried to get very nice looking Santa Claus. But he's stuck in the frame. We couldn't get him out. And now this is another nostalgic future. We use normal light bulb. People are saying, okay, we have to use our LED light or fluorescent light. But principal said, no, it's very important to use old style bulb. And actually there are more than 100 streaks hanging from the ceiling. So as you walk around, you can switch on only 3 light bulbs among 300 light bulbs. So you switch on just only where you want the light, and after when you leave, you switch it off. So instead of chasing the latest technology, they are going to teach the consciousness about environmental things. If you think about efficiency, candle is 100 times more inefficient than light bulb, but nobody brave it. Because when you use candle, you are conscious about energy, and they are trying to do the same. And at the same time, this is controlled by computer from the center, just like iPhone. And now it's covered with green on the middle. And then principal was supposed to buy a lawnmower with a grass cutting machine. Now Austrian idea came. He bought two goats, and then 2 pony, and then these animals are eating grass to make it shorter. Now it's academic. These dots are representing the number of the games they created. On top of this kindergarten, there's no praying true, because Spring Pastor said, if we bring our praying true on top, praying true starts saying, what they should do. But we want kids to find out what they want to do. You know, it's different as well. Instead of telling them they want kindergarten, want them to find out how they play around. And they found out this kindergarten has 8 times more games than normal kindergarten. And this is the movement a boy from 10 past 9 to 30 past 9. Remember, this is almost 200 meters. And so within 20 minutes, he moved such a lot. And this graduate school student really got tired. And actually there's a professor always following this kind of kindergarten. His major is human behavior. And there's a graduate school student found out this boy made 6 kilometers in the morning, and most of the kids make more than 4 kilometers in the morning. So that is almost 10 times more movement than normal kindergarten. And I can show you how it is. It's a TV program.
傾斜のついた屋根はそのまま運動場として使える。
And this
そして
rooftop is
こ
not
の屋根に上がった子供たちは
it's
手塚夫
inclined.
妻が思い描いた通
You can see
ほ
that
とんど
kids
例外
are
なく
playing on construction.
全
In
力
the
で
morning,
走
it
り出す
happens
のである。
every morning. It's automatic response.
子供たちなんでこんなにいっぱい走るかっていうとね、子供ってね、こういうふうにこう行き止まりのないところをぐるぐる走るのが大好きなんですよ
It's
ね。
amazing how
で
they
この屋根の上
run.
も内側に向かってすり鉢状に傾いてるんですね。
And also this is
そうすると
inclined.
何がいいかっていうと、これ早く走ってもなんか船に飛び立つ感じがしないでしょ。サーキットみたいな感じで。なんか走りたくなるんですよ、こう斜めに。子供たちはね、それを
This is
感
a
じるんですよ
movement
ね。
program.
なんかこうしなさいって言わないんだけど、走りたくなる。Okay, the way for 4,000 people going up onto the roof. As a no wall. There are more than 20 windows on top of the roof. The children love to jump into the net. There are 3 trees. Sometimes we get more than 120 children around the tree. It's amazing.
There's one thing I don't like about this because they use Chinese music. Even the CNN thinks Japan is a part of China. We have no way to go. China is too big. Okay. Now, this is the latest project we are working on now. Now we are making very small oval. This building is only 5 meters tall. Yet this building has 7 floors. So floor to ceiling height is only this much. Sometimes this much. Everything is for kids. And actually this tree is much bigger. And then it's almost close to completion. This is a construction phase. Now you can see it's built on a big tree. And Peter Cook came to the site and he named the project as a ring on the tree. There's a famous song called Ring on Roses. So now it's called a ring on the tree. R-A-T. Yeah. You see that very small ceiling height. And now it's close to completion. And we put our kids because we always try to make sure there's no dangerous point. And always our kids are first one to make blues on the head. Then we know where we have problem. And they try to sneak into my daughter, my son. After this, right after he hit his head and the steel structure. So everything is kid scale. And she was not supposed to do that because it's too dangerous. Now we have to find a way how to solve it. It looks like a Star Wars. Right. And after that, actually this is easy. we are trying to make this light fly. How do you call it? Just trying to get the architecture just reaching. This is what we are going to get. So we don't have much time. We just run as a project very quickly. And you know, I think you might know the natural science in design. This area gets heaviest snow in the world. 30 meters of snow in each year. In Alaska, they get the heaviest snow in a day, 1.9 meter per day. But here, they get 1.5 meters snow every day. So people get killed quite easily. So people can't live there. And it's 160 meter long coated steel building, all welded, 2,500 tons. And so if you go there in summer, this building is about 20 centimeters longer because it extends. It looks like a nuclear missile launcher against North Korea, but it's not. And they're all welded together like a submarine. We have a big windows on the corner. I show you the reason. The nice thing about this big window is it's made out of acrylic. It's a very expensive window. One piece is about $500,000. And the great thing about this window is that so clear, 4 times as clear as normal glass, and also stand more than a few hundred years without changing color. And as we thought very successful, then curator called us, excuse me, birds are bumping in the window, they're dying. And I said, sorry, I said, I'm sorry. And we went to the museum, and then scholar came up. It's okay, this is natural forest. We are not supposed to catch any birds. But you know, we can't make research. And then we went into his room. There are so many stuffed birds. And now I'm having more corrections. I made this joke in Australia, and everybody were looking so sad. It wasn't a joke at all. And I found it, I made that joke in the wrong position. It worked in London. It didn't work in Melbourne. In the winter, snowstorm, 5 minutes, 1 hour, in a week. This is already 7 meters. And this is how snow started. And at the beginning, they didn't believe it is strong enough. And I said, it is okay. They said, are you sure? I said, just don't worry, because we designed for 4.5 tons per square meter, very thick acrylic. They said, scary. But now many people are going there, and now just they changed this building changed the life of local people. Okay, that's the last project we have to talk about. This is an artist called Noriko Horiuchi. She is actually Canadian Japanese, and she's quite famous throughout the world. And she woven a net where kids can jump into. And the museum had the net a long time ago, and they put the net in university building. It's a white box with the ugliest detailed such. And they said, okay, could you design another white building? But I said, it's wrong. This is spider net. The spider net looks much better in the forest than in the white box. Because when spider net is in a white box, looks nasty. And but they said, no, we have to have sheltering, because these days we got acid rain coming from the continent, because on the coastline we got the factories in China, and then we can't stop it. So we are told we have to shelter and also stop the wind coming. But yet, we had to have ventilation. So we had to make very delicate sheltering. And this is the site. And we made this kind of model. It's a very small model. It's only 4 centimeters. This is the shape of my finger, like this. And I didn't take much time. And I brought this model to the president of the museum. The president said, "Yes, it's nice. Please build it." And then we got surprised, and then we went to Ministry of Environment because this is national forest. We are not supposed to build anything except unless we get special permission from Ministry of Environment. And then we brought the model. Can we build this? They said, yes, it's okay, it looks cute. But they didn't know that is 1 to 1,000 scale. It's always nice to bring 1 to 1,000 smaller model for Ministry of Environment. And also we studied wood construction because we wanted to make architecture grow old. And in Japan we have many 1,000 years old wooden structures. And we did study, and we tried to work out the details. And also we had to work out the shape, the geometry. It looks quite simple, but the net itself holds 50 tons of people. And also the size of dome is the size of Sophia in Istanbul. It's quite big. And we worked out certain geometry with the professor at MIT. And also I made the geometry, but still we had to analyze it. And actually analyzing this kind of wooden structure is extremely difficult because there's uncertainty factor. So he made a new equation and algorithm to analyze uncertainty factor. And also, this is extremely rational fractal, yet extremely looking random. But this is mathematical science. Now this is how you see how it's going to be built. And then this is the detail which is going to stand 300 years. And every 5 years we were supposed to change that wedge. This is a person from Eastern Environment getting really upset. It's not cute anymore. But it's environmentally friendly, I would say. It's a laminated wood. You can see people here. Eventually we got the tent inside, and we got building. We're looking like an old Japanese temple. Now this is what we got. Now I'll show you the difference. We used to have We used to have a building like this. And this building had only 100 people, less than 100 people per day. And the artist who knew that, but exactly the same shape, and we made new building. Now we have, work first. We have 5,000 people per day. In Shanghai Expo, in Japanese pavilion, the maximum they got is 3,000 people per day. This small pavilion get 1.5 times more than Japanese pavilion in Shanghai. And nice thing about this artwork is that the kids find their own way to play around. I like these pictures. It's nice. This is nice too. And we wanted to have the same feeling about our architecture. So we worked with the artist and structural engineer and mathematician very closely. And the museum wanted to have wanted us to design as furniture. But I said, no, we don't want furniture, because people can nest in the building. Father, tired of taking care of the kids. Girl growing on top of it. My wife and my son. He's very cute. So this is how it's looking like. And then the bridge is similar way. It is not to stand again more than 300 years. Now we are building a new bridge. Another side. Actually, this building, we are in charge of this outdoor museum, which is more than 7 hectares. And there is a road, public road in the middle. And there used to be a long bridge doing this because they needed the inclination. But instead of that, we made a very simple bridge. We are trying to make a very simple bridge with a certain width so that people can choose a way to walk on top. So this is for wheelchair. My son walk up and down like this. Now just we are working out the structure. And this is the last project we are going to show. It's called the Domino House. You know the name. I don't need to explain much. We hang the swing. You can see that the kids are quite happy. And it shows some pictures, just neat houses. But I don't think that I have time to explain. Okay, this is a house to look down the valley. And after golf. This is called Engel House, sharing the garden with grandmother's house. Actually, this is the area of tsunami. Every 8 years they get tsunami. This is the level they get. So they want to raise a house. Another one, it's a very simple house, missing a column on the corner. But the thing is that just removing one column changes the perception of the space. So we are not trying to make Japanese style architecture, but some people say, your architecture is more Japanese than Japanese style house, because we emphasize the openness of the space. Other one, we open it, just like a control tower in the airport. Very simple, 360 degree. Other one, it's open it in front of the city park. Other one, we got the cloister on the middle of the house. But there's again missing column. Again, this is Toyota building, spanning really long distance. This is actually the old project, almost close to 10 years old project. Now many Japanese architects are trying to do the same. This is extremely thin structure. It's spanning 45 meters with only 600. So the ratio of the beam is 1/70. So when we broad the structure, it looks like a bow shape. And when you put it on the side, sags down, becomes a flat. But if you walk on it, it moves like water. And not many people are doing it. And but this is really big scale. But by the time of the typhoon, the beam moves about 20 centimeters up and down. So we have very special detail for sliding door. You can see the sliding door. It absorbs more than 20 centimeters movement. And the Toyota love to control the cost. So they removed the electric motor. They said, we don't want it. So, but they didn't know that is 6 tons. Very heavy. He used to be chief architect. he left my office after this. Yeah. But we always we were concerned about things happening here. So we kept going, and eventually the workers working here start saying, these days the door is getting lighter and lighter. And I found out he's getting more muscles. I think it's this architecture is contributing to the health of the people. Now at the end, I'm showing the project we exhibited for the writing, 200 years of the death of Franz Liszt. And they said they want a house, some kind of pavilion where artists can stay. And so we put the grand piano inside the grand piano, so you can open the top of the house with the exhibition. You can see the grand piano is opening on top. See like this? And hopefully we are going to build it. This financial situation allows us. Very simple project. I don't have to explain about this now. So we're coming to the end of the slide. We drive the car like this. And I'm not saying this is exactly the most beautiful car in the world, but we keep driving this car because this car teaches me many things. These days Toyota changes the model every 2 years. Actually, but the basics in this car was in production for almost 50 years, 25 times more than Toyota car. And if it is a car, it's okay. When you don't like it, you can throw it away. And of course, it's not good, but still you can change. But once you build a house, or especially building, the thing will stay at least another 50 years, sometimes a few hundred years, maybe more. So these days we design building Ford magazine. Yeah, you try to choose, or we try to find the latest fashion. But the thing is, the latest becomes obsolete next year. But architecture is going to stand there more than 50 years. So we try to find out how we can make long life design, means that people never get bored. And so we drive this car, and in the hot day we can open the ceiling, but still in the summer we get rain, but still we can open the window underneath over here. There's a door. But if you forget to close the door, on the expressway, water starts splashing in the cabin, you get totally wet, and you get the ponding on the floor. That instruction says, don't worry, there's a flag of the laboratory on the floor, you can get the water out. And you can put many people in. You can put many things in. So it's very flexible. You feel you are part of it. The owner of the roof house made a very interesting comment to another client. You asked Tezuka-san, Mr. Tezuka, and Mrs. Tezuka to design your house. And you never get 100% satisfaction because maybe there's something going wrong. But you would love your architecture more than 100%. It's very important. Just like a kid, you never get satisfied with your children because something going wrong with them all the time. They're not 100% perfect. But if you love it, it's not very important. Thank you very much. Japan. Do you think I can get one question, one or two questions, right? And then whoever made a good question get correction on cataract 1 and 2. Okay, is anybody else who wanted to make a question now? No? It's very expensive though. No? Is anybody else? Want a book? Nobody? Okay. Yes? Could you? Is there another mic? Do you have another mic? No, you don't. So you have to make a question. Okay. Yes? Sorry?
Is the climate different in Japan to Austria? You make special details and fragile things?
Detail. Yes, it's difficult to say about the general climate about Japan because Japan is a very long and thin country. Now Hokkaido is minus 40 degrees, Okinawa is 30 degrees. So there are more than 70-degree difference between top to the bottom. But I must say Tokyo is a little bit warmer than here. Maybe same temperature as Istanbul. And yes, maybe yes, we have culture to make a fine detail. And also, we have a tradition to appreciate external environment. Okay? Is it good? Do you think you can get the book? Thank you very much. That is how to describe it.